working at a factory. Things happened in 2003. I started the Puerto Rican Festival of Wisconsin. I am the founder of the Wisconsin Puerto Rican Festival. I started that under a bridge pretty much with my fiance and my son because I couldn't find work. I was only foundry jobs and factory jobs with my felony. I was young and I had a felony. So it affected me a lot. So I was like, what can I do next? And I had this idea, we don't have a festival. And I kind of was involved in a lot of community stuff, which is people that I knew. So I started that in 2013, which has helped a lot of businesses in Milwaukee get open, a lot of businesses in Wisconsin, and a lot of companies connect with the Puerto Rican culture. We've got over 1,000 volunteers, over 100,000 people that have came the past few years. It's really made an impact in our city, I think. And it's something that I started with no money with my fiance and my son. The first few 2 years, we had to go borrow money from my dad. But again, I was going through those phases of getting used to being a felon that couldn't go back to just where I am now, where I have a suit on and I can do these things. It was just an embarrassing time for the past few years. In 2013 to 2019, I've done numerous toy drives, turkey drives. I coached for the City Kids Wrestling program. I coached for Tech High School. I've just been, just trying to do my best to just show that, that felony that I have is not what I am. And I love kids and I love my son as my life. He's been with me since he was 3 when his mom disappeared. Thank God my fiance's been with us since he was 3 and she kind of changed everything for us. I've also been part of the BLMA program for the past few years, the Black Latino Mentorship Achievement Program that runs through MPS, which I love being a part of. Just last week, I spoke at Escuela Verde High School about entrepreneurship and online business because I push a lot of online businesses and I like to learn a lot. In 2017, I joined the Red Cross. I am part of the reunification team for the Red Cross, flew out to Puerto Rico and just found a lot of different people, met a lot of different things, and I've been doing that for the past few years. Again, still with not being able to get myself into a professional position because of my felony, I started the Midwest Barber Competition, which is hosted at the Wisconsin Center. Thousands of barbers' lives have been changed through this. I mean, we've helped a lot of people get their licensing, a lot of felons that are most barbers, or not most, but at least half are felons. We've helped them open up shops and work with the state of Wisconsin to kind of really, get them back again. So throughout this time, I got lucky. I started working for a media company. This guy named Victor Huque owns El Conquistador newspaper in Milwaukee, the largest newspaper, the Spanish newspaper. Gave me a chance and he introduced me to the community. I've been doing a community work ever since. And thank God I met the director of America Works who met me through Jose Perez, an alderman in Milwaukee, kind of told him everything I was doing with the community and everything that I've been doing. And he changed my life. When COVID hit, most people, they were going through things and he changed my life. Like he really did. He was the first one. I sat there with him and I explained to him what I did, about my felony with the marijuana. I said, I've never had the opportunity. He gave me the chance. I've been there for 2 years. I'm one of the best caseworkers I think I am in the state of Wisconsin. All of my clients I can connect with. It's funny because I have a lot of conversations with them. They don't know about my situation, but I try to explain to them about the felony and how it doesn't stop you from doing anything. I have a suit on right now and I'm doing good. My son's doing amazing. He goes to West Dallas Hale. And I just want to be able to be more part of more things. When my son went to Spanish immersion, I was a coach for 1 year because they didn't make me turn in an application. And so I became the coach. My picture's on the wall for the school. I never coached before, but they needed it. And I came back the next year. And my son comes with this paperwork from school, and it was about my record. And he didn't understand then. I explained to him yesterday, but it stopped me then so I could no longer volunteer for MPS programs. Then they took me from the wrestling program. They took me from all the programs once I couldn't fill out that application anymore. And not just that, I also have a dream of starting Tribe Leaders of America. It's a nonprofit that I want to put together. You can go on our Facebook. We already have pictures. We've been doing a lot of work already of just taking kids from Milwaukee into outside and seeing horses and just doing all these things that my son gets to do because just hard work. And, and I've spent most of my life hiding the felony. My mom just found out that I have this felony a couple of days ago because I've tried to hide it from so many people. I've lost many jobs because I never marked the felony on there, which I know is wrong, but I would always just give me a chance and see that I work instead of just seeing my felony. So I went through that for many years. And I volunteered at so many schools. And I just want to be able to do more. I want to be able to volunteer to schools. I want to be able to fill out that application for the Black Latino mentorship and not have to give a speech about my past and just say, look at what I've done. Look at all the kids I've worked with, and just keep making a bigger impact. And I think God has a lot more for me, and this story is all part of it. And I think without it, I could do a lot more and just keep growing. And not just as a person and to show my son, but just for the community and people around me and stuff, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Questions from the board? Jerry?
Can you talk about your volunteer work after Hurricane Maria?
Well, what happened was Hurricane Maria hit, and I was watching the news, and things got worse and worse, and we were filling up semi trucks. I had about 3 semi trucks. We were on Channel 6 every day, just trying to get as many volunteers as we could. And I put a Facebook post, and I said, "Hey, I'm healthy. I know Spanish. I know the island, and I'm gonna get out there somehow." I couldn't get anybody. I didn't have the money to go out there, and I didn't have it. So I ended up going to the Red Cross, and I met with one of their directors. Then I told them the same thing. I said, "I know Spanish. I know the island, and I'm healthy. I'm also one of the leaders here. I see myself as one of the Hispanic leaders here, and I think I can make an impact." I took a little bit of training. Within 4 days, I was getting poked with different shots. I landed in Puerto Rico. I was part of a reunification team, so we were sleeping in different churches. The first day, I was supposed to do pretty much recovery, but they put me in a reunification team. Our days were usually 5 in the morning. The printer starts rolling with cases of people missing. We had our radio guy. We had our translator, who was me. We had our driver and our security, and we would just go find people. And we found a lot of dead people. We found a lot of people that had never seen anybody within that time. They had just been there. We traveled the whole island. I have a map that's marked everywhere we went. We fed a lot of people. We would literally come back from camp 5 in the morning. We would leave. We'd come back right before the doors were shut at midnight without any clothes, gave everything away. And that changed my life mostly. That was right there where I was like that's when I really took things up a notch with the work that I've been doing.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other questions from the board? Oh, thank you, Mr. Morales, for
sharing so much.
Story and all of your work in the community. As you've heard me say before, you'll hear from us in about a month, but hope you have a good day.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Take care. All right, we are now done with our morning session. And so if somebody could make a motion to move into closed session pursuant to WISTAT 19.851 A, D, and F for purposes of deliberating concerning a case before the board, for considering specific applications, and considering individuals' financial, medical, social, or personal histories. Do somebody make a first? Jeff makes first. Verna's second. Anyone opposed? Hearing none, we are now moving into closed session. So I'm just going to put some folks in the waiting room. All right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Ryan Nelson. I am Governor Evers' Chief Legal Counsel and also have the honor of serving as Chair of the Pardon Advisory Board. I'm going to go through a couple housekeeping items and then we're going to jump right into things since we're in our final session of the day for our October 8th hearing. So first and foremost is until it's your turn to appear before the board, please turn off your camera and mute yourself. We are live streaming this on YouTube and Wisconsin Eye, which is Wisconsin's version of C-SPAN. It helps us as board members to be able to focus on the person who's before us. And so if you could turn off your camera, that would be helpful. There's a little icon if you're on a PC or a Mac, a little icon in the lower left-hand corner with the camera. Just click on that and it will turn your camera off. Similar on your phone if you're using an iPhone or an Android. The second thing is in terms of process. So when I call you up, you'll have about 15 minutes with the board. During that time, we have had an opportunity to read through your application materials, but this is your opportunity to share your story with us in your own words. We want to know how you ended up with your felony conviction or convictions, and we want specifics on how it happened, not just that, you made a mistake one night and ended up with a felony conviction. We want to know how it happened. We want to know what happened afterwards in terms of completing your sentence, and then what's happened between that point and today, and why you believe you have earned the chance to receive a pardon from Governor Evers. After we hear from everybody today, the board will be meeting in closed session. During that closed session, we will deliberate on each of your applications and presentations to us. And we will make a decision on whether or not to forward your application to Governor Evers. If you receive majority support from the board members present, that means 3 out of the 5 of us, your application will go to Governor Evers and he'll make a final determination on whether to grant you a pardon. If you don't receive majority support, or if Governor Evers rejects your application after having received majority support, you'll receive a denial letter from the Pardon Advisory Board stating that your application has been denied and you'll be able to reapply within 18 months of the date of the letter. You will hear one way or another about this process about a month from today. So expect to hear. That said, it can vary a little bit depending on just clerical matters. So, but do expect an answer from us in about a month. The final thing is you do not need to stay on this Zoom call once you are done meeting with us. So feel free to sign off. Everybody does that. You don't need to stick around for everybody else. You can go about your day or hopefully go about your weekend. So with that, we are going to be going in the order that people are listed on the public meeting notice for today. So we will be hearing first from Courtney, then Antonio, then Carolyn, then Latoya, then Michelle, then Hope, then Marsha, then Brandi, and then finally Stephen. And so with that, let me make sure that we have our first applicant. And it looks like we do. So Courtney, you have your camera off and you're unmuted already. So now, like I just said, now is your opportunity to share your story with us, and then I'll open it up for board members to ask you questions. So please proceed.
Okay, so do I turn my camera off?
Nope, you can keep it on because you're our
okay.
first person. So you get to set the example for everybody here.
Okay. Oh boy.
Lucky you.
Pressure. All right. Good afternoon, not morning.
Yeah,
everybody.
that's right.
Hi. I am Courtney Crong. I'm currently 42. Oh boy, this is kind of okay. I thought I was prepared.
Oh, it's fine, Courtney. So if you could just, start with just describe, what happened in terms of your conviction.
Okay, back in 2002, I believe I might have been 21, 22. I had a young daughter then. She is now 22. And I was going to school for paralegal, working part-time as well for Milwaukee Public Schools as a para. Very little income, but I did have support from my parents. As far as them having to live with them, with my daughter, they accepted us with open arms. Due to the fact that they carried such a financial load to helping us, one day when I went to MATC, I had a computer class and made the choice of taking one of my classmates' purses and writing out a check falsely in her name to myself. Around that time, it was the holidays. My daughter needed some clothes because she was growing, of course, at that age, 3 or 4 years old, I believe, or maybe 2 or 3 years old. At that time, I didn't have the money that I wanted as far as, working, I had a car note at that time as well. And like I said, I didn't want to stress my parents out anymore, asking them for money for my daughter's clothes. So I took it upon myself to take the person's check out of her purse.
What happened afterwards then, Courtney? So after you received your conviction, what happened between then and today, and why do you think you should receive a pardon?
Been so long ago. I've grown as a person. I've worked for MPS since 2014. I have a son now. He's 16. He's autistic, so I know, and I'm very caring. I'm very, my whole demeanor has changed. Even, as getting older, I volunteer a lot. I know you kind of said it before, not saying, but young and dumb. I just chose the wrong thing to do at that time. All I thought it was about money and, being greedy. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe, but yeah, I mean, a lot has changed since then. You know, I'm stable. My parents are still around. They still, help us out financially, sometimes, or, spiritually and other things like that. I'm not able to work right now due to an arm injury. And then my son has his days where he has his bouts with autism. So it's very hard to have something stable, even if it is part-time. So yeah, and then with the COVID, he's recovering from COVID, and my daughter. So that's a thing too. I've had to stay home as well now too. So it's just, things happen. And I'm very remorseful for what happened. It's just like, well, looking back, it's like, wow, I've taught my kids, so far so good. I've been blessed to have, a young adult daughter who's very respectful. She has a job, and she's seen what I can do with, coming back from all of that.
All right. Thanks, Courtney. Questions from the board? Jeff?
So good afternoon. Can you tell me a little bit about the counseling that you've been involved in or are involved in?
Oh,
Are you
yeah.
going to counseling now?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to counseling now? You're still in counseling?
My actual therapist is actually on leave, I think, due to COVID. So I think her first day back is October 20th. I suffer from anxiety and depression, yes.
So you've been in counseling for a long time?
2016 or 2017.
Okay.
Around the time my son got diagnosed with autism, I believe,
Okay.
yeah. A little bit thereafter.
The person that you stole the purse from, do you know her? Did you know her at all, or she was just another student in the class?
We've talked, we've had conversations, yes, then.
And after you got caught with this, have you had any contact with her? And we're not using names,
No.
but you know who I'm talking about. Have you had any contact with her since?
Oh, no.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Sometimes defendants who have committed crimes end up having some kind of a reconciliation or some kind of a meeting with the victim to apologize or talk to them, or maybe they had a friendship before. I'm just asking if you had any kind of a relationship that continued afterwards with this person.
No, sir, no.
Okay. Because she's quite adamantly opposed to your getting a pardon. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Okay.
And that's why I wondered if there was something else in play here, because, okay, those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the board? Cindy, then Jerry.
Good afternoon. Just to follow up with Judge Kermit's question, for when you were placed on sentence for these crimes, you had 2 years probation and then 50 hours community service, and you were ordered to write a letter of apology to the victim. Do you remember writing that letter?
Honestly, no.
And that's fine. It was a long time ago. And do you remember where you did your community service?
Actually, I think at that time I didn't have to, because I think my, I guess what you call probation officer had a little bit of, it gave me some grace, I believe.
Okay.
Jerry?
You completed your paralegal course,
Yes, I have an associate's in paralegal.
and if you got a pardon, do you think you could work as a paralegal?
I would hope to.
Okay.
Obviously,
all.
I would have to go back to school, yes.
Any other questions? All right, well, thanks, Courtney, for meeting with us. As I said at the beginning, you'll hear from us about in a month in terms of the outcome of this process, but hope you have a good rest of your day, and thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, next we are going to be hearing from Antonio Robertson. Let's see if we have Antonio. Doesn't look like we do have Antonio, so we'll loop back with him and hopefully get him later. And then do we have Carolyn Williams? There we go. And before you start, Carol, I did realize I forgot to introduce the board members for this afternoon session. So I'll do that quickly and then we'll jump to you, Carolyn. So we do have, in addition to myself, we have Judge Jeff Kremers. He's a former Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge. We have Cindy O'Donnell with the Wisconsin Department of Corrections and formerly the Wisconsin Department of Justice. We have Myrna Warrington, who is a tribal council member and also works in vocational rehabilitation. And last but certainly not least, we have Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is a former county and state prosecutor and now is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. All right, Carolyn, you've seen how this works, so now is your opportunity to speak to the board. Looks like we can't quite hear you, Carolyn. You have let's make sure your microphone is on. So I think what we'll do, Carolyn, is I'll have Diana on my staff reach out to you and we'll have you call in. We'll do it that way. Sometimes that works better. So we'll jump to the next applicant. Diane will give you a ring and we'll come back to you. All right. We will next then try with Latoya Williams. Latoya, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on and unmuting yourself. There we go.
Hi, I'm in the car. I had to get away from everybody. Sorry.
No, you're not the first person to have to do that. So Ms. Williams, you've seen how this works. So why don't you please proceed by sharing your story with us and then we'll open it up for questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. 2010, June 2010, I was in an altercation. I was with someone riding in the car, somebody I was dating, riding in the car. We got pulled over. It was drugs in the car. I took the drugs to stop him from going to jail. I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking at the time. I didn't know anything about it. I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry. I knew this was going. I just wasn't thinking at the time. It wasn't mine, but I did take the case because I was so stupid in love. I'll just say that. And I just took the case in one thinking. I had got 18 months probation. I completed it. Nothing happened. Since then, I took several different classes to open up a child care business. I completed that, but then I found out from the case I had, I couldn't open it in my name. But I still was working in child care. I'm currently doing home health care. I'm a caregiver. I've been there for 7 years. Got a couple certificates after that, CBRF, phlebotomy. I got 4 kids. I moved out of Milwaukee to West Bend. It's not that far, but a different environment for me and my kids. I just really want something different for me and my kids.
Thanks, Ms. Williams. Questions from the board? Jeff and then Jerry.
Ms. Williams, I want to ask you a couple of questions about when this happened. You said you got pulled over. Do you know why you got pulled over?
I think they said the tail light wasn't working or something like that.
Yeah. And then when you got pulled over, you said drugs were found in the car. How was it the car got searched? And I know from reading the complaint that you'd actually hid the drugs on yourself. Do you know why they searched you or why they searched the car?
They said they smelled some smoke or something, some marijuana smoke. I think they said they smelled something like that.
Had you guys been
I
smoking?
don't. No, I don't smoke. He smoked, but I don't smoke.
Okay, so
But I
so
don't think he
they
was
smelled
smoking at the
marijuana and
time.
then they searched you?
Yeah, they searched the car and then they searched him, then they searched me.
Okay, thanks.
Jerry, do you have a question?
Yeah. Ms. Williams, do you still work at Regner North?
Yes,
What kind of facility is that?
it's a home health care.
Okay. And how many patients are there?
It's 4 there.
Okay. And do you cook and stuff there as well?
Yes, cook, clean, all their personal needs, take them shopping, all that. Yes.
Okay. And you may not have seen these, but you got several really nice letters from clients of yours. People who just can't say enough about how caring you are. And you have a tough job, and to get that kind of support was really great to see. So you should be proud of what you do.
Mhm.
Any other questions from the board? All right, well, thanks for appearing before us, Ms. Williams. I know it's not an easy form to do this, especially online, but really do appreciate your time and your candor with us. And as I said at the top of the hour, you'll hear from us in about a month in terms of the outcome of this process, but hope you have a good weekend.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All right, next we will be hearing, let's pull up from Michelle Z. Wilkes. Michelle. There you go. Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
All right, well, you've seen how this works, so please proceed.
Okay, I might be a little all over,
That's fine.
right? Because it's 2 cases.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to start with the one in Allegheny, because actually that's where everything started from. Using drugs, me and my boyfriend, my kid's dad, drinking drugs, lost the house, and we end up staying at this house with a friend of ours, Tina. She was babysitting the home, and we stayed there. She ended up giving us, she found some checks and she ended up giving it to us. I didn't fill the checks out, but I did sign them to cash them. Okay. After all of that was said, we end up coming back to Milwaukee and still using drugs, drinking real heavy, doing it all. My boyfriend had went into this house to get some more drugs and that. And as he was coming out, he said he found some checks on the ground. And we did the same thing. He filled them out. I signed them and cashed them. And it just went, you know, from the drugs and that. When I did get caught, I did admit I did it. I pleaded guilty because I was wrong. I did it. I got sentenced to 5 years in prison. If I'm not mistaken, I think I did like a 1.5 to 2 years, I think it was. I did everything I was supposed to do in there. When I got released from there, I came back to Milwaukee to the Women's Center, excuse me. And I started working when I was there. And I also did drug and alcohol classes. childcare classes and all of it. I graduated out of that. I did pay restitution. I had to pay that before I got off of parole. And I did all of that. When I was able to go home, I started church, going to church, working. My boyfriend ended up being my husband. And he ended up getting sick. My mom was sick. I took care of both of them at one time. Then my husband passed, my mama passed. But I just kept doing what I had to do. I worked in healthcare, taking care of senior citizens. For the church, I will go to church. We will have events, barbecue, rummy sales, stuff like that. I would have cookouts with little kids on my block. They would call me Granny Shell. You know, far as for me to get a pardon, I would like to have a pardon because I have some goals that I want to try to complete if I can. I would like to get licensed. I want to try to get a group home. That's what I would love to do. And to kind of try to help people that was in the situation that I was in. And to try to keep them from not going back and forth. I only went to prison one time and I never wanted to go back, and I'm not, and I haven't. And I want to try to help somebody to stay on the right path. And for me to get licensed for that, I can't have a felony on my record. I just want to try to complete, some of my goals that I want to do because I made stupid decisions. I made my mama a promise. When I came home, I wouldn't do nothing wrong. I haven't. I kept my word on that. I think I did it. I don't know.
Thanks, Ms.
I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No need to apologize. You're not the first person. It's not an easy form. Questions from the board? All right, looks like you get off easy, Michelle. So thanks for being candid with us and sharing your story. As you've heard me say before, you'll be hearing from us in about a month in terms of the outcome of the process, but enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, and thank you.
Thank you. Take care. Next, we'll be going to Hope Wachendorf. So Hope, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on. Are you there, Hope? Hope Wachendorf, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on. Hopefully you can hear us. All right, we will add Hope to the list of people we'll have to reach out to. Thanks for bearing with us. We'll next go to Marsha Ashley. Oh, there we go.
Hey, actually, how you doing?
Just plodding through these IT issues. So, but it's Friday, so we're doing well. Well, okay. You've seen how this works, Marsha. So now's your opportunity to share your story with us. Then I'll open up to the board for questions. So please proceed.
Okay, can you hear me pretty good? I have my earpiece in.
Yep,
okay, I'm so nervous. All right, so I couldn't tell you what year it was. I could tell you it was about 23, 24 years ago. I got into a fight with the school official. I was 7 months pregnant. I don't make excuses for it, but I'm gonna try to be as detailed as I can. I know one thing, I could have controlled my temper a little bit better. I was talking to the principal about my daughter being suspended off the school bus, and it went from, it just got out of hand real quickly. We got into a fight. I went home, pretty much went to jail. I got 18 months probation. I didn't serve any time. After that, I did like community service and things of that nature. I don't know what else to say, but the fact that it's been 23, 25 years and I've just been trying to live life and stay out of anybody's way. I don't know what to say. The thing is this, I've never felt like I wasn't at fault. I felt like I could have conducted myself a little bit better. It's been a life lesson. The fact that people say and do things, and no matter what state you're in, 7 months pregnant, having a bad day, having a good day, you have to learn to control your temper and your attitude and not let others predict your future. And that's what I allow happen. And I'm looking for this pardon because my nephew was like, ever since I've had this felony, it's never really stopped me from being me, because people see me for who I am instead of what's on that paper. And I haven't been in trouble since. And they were like, well, they've given me a chance, and I've had really great jobs and great opportunities. I'm a grandmother of 8. I'm a mother of 7. And I just don't want my grandchildren to look at me as just grandmother has a felony. I just really wanted them to see that, this paper says one thing, but when they see me, that's somebody else. And that I made a mistake. I allowed my temper to get the best of me. So I really want this pardon because I had children young, but I still got my high school diploma, turned around and got my college degree. And then now here I am, relaxed and enjoying life. And then I have this felony that is there. And I'm just like, I don't want them to see that. Kids these days are into technology. And I can imagine my great-grandchildren like, grandma was, as kids may say, about it or something. No, I wasn't. That's not who I am. I don't want them to think of me in that way.
Questions for Ms. Ashley? Cindy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Ashley. So I assume your children stayed in the school after this incident?
No.
They
no.
didn't? Okay, so
No.
tell me what, so you moved them to another school, or what happened?
It was just one child.
Okay.
If I can remember. I'm sorry. It was one child was at that school, and I just ended up taking her out of that school, and she ended up going to a different school. She actually has a learning disability, and that school was a pretty good school for her. So.
Okay. And did you have any other contact after this with the principal?
No, just like at court hearings, things like that.
Okay.
But other than that, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Jerry?
I just want, you had something interesting in your application. I just wanted to understand exactly kind of what was going on then. You said your daughter had been suspended from the bus for 3 days.
Yep.
And you had no other way to get her to school.
Yeah.
And that if she missed 3 days of school, they would cut off your check.
Yeah, at that time, it was not W-2, it was AFBC, more like a, welfare. And I was a young mother, I'm 46 now. And at that time, that was the only source of income I had because I was pregnant. So it was like, if I didn't have that check, I couldn't pay rent or any bills. Yeah, they had this rule back then, things have changed so much, so.
But if she couldn't ride the bus, you were in danger of losing your welfare benefits.
Yeah. But
Right.
that's not, we didn't get into an altercation because of that thing in particular. It was the fact that because at the time I was in church and I was going faithfully to church. It was the fact that when we were having a discussion, she kept over talking to me and she was calling me a liar. And I was like, no, I'm not lying to you. I didn't get any, they send you slips with the kids saying that they are, like the warning. I never got any warnings. And they were like, well, we sent it with your child. And I'm like, what child do you know is going to give me a slip saying that they were acting up on the bus, And it just went from there. So it wasn't a money situation. It was more of a, you're not listening to me, and it just got out of hand. It just really did get out of hand. Because my mother was there. I was with my mother. And I knew not to disrespect my mom like that. And it was just like, it just flew off the handle so quick. It really did.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Ashley? Oh, thanks for meeting with us, Ms. Ashley. Appreciate you taking your time and your candor. As you've heard me say a couple of times already, you'll hear from us in about a month, but hope you have a good day.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. All right, next we will hear, let me see if we have her, Brandi Chisler. So Brandi, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on and unmuting yourself. There we go.
Hello.
Hi. Well, you've seen how this works, so now's your opportunity. So please proceed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the opportunity, everyone. So again, I was one of those very brilliant teenagers, around between 18, maybe almost 19 at the time, when I had a roommate that we were fighting a lot at that time. She wasn't paying her share of the bills. So my brilliant brain said that I was going to use the credit card that she left laying around the apartment all the time to just use it in the amount of monies around the monies that she owed for the bills that she wasn't paying. And so to me, that was my justice in my brilliant teenage years. So that is the issue that I did. I used her credit card a few times. I don't remember the exact amount that it came to. It was a few $100s, but that's what she had approximately owed in her bills. So since that time, so I was given 2 years of probation. I was let off early for, I guess, good behavior. I only served 1 year of probation, and then they released me. At the time, I also found out shortly after I was pregnant. So I had a daughter since then, and I now have 3 grandchildren. Also, since then, I've gone to school. I've gone 2 associate degrees in business and marketing. And then I have now that I went to school and got my bachelor's in sciences for human resources. And so I work for human resources. And right now I'm doing a human resource management. And I'm also a certified compliance officer for healthcare. So as the reasons I'm hoping for a pardon is because as I continue to grow my career, I would like, I'm going to need to not have the felony on my record, because as I move up as HR director and so forth, and as in one of my goals, I just can't have that on my record. And also, I can appreciate the comments from the previous person who about her grandchildren. I definitely don't want any of my grandchildren to ever see these things, especially since I'm pretty hard with them on being with their manners and being good citizens. I think that's about my story.
We'll open up for board for questions. So any questions from board members? Jerry.
Did you ever have any more contact with Jennifer Heron?
I didn't. I found out later that it was actually her father's credit card that was used. When I moved out, we parted our ways. I moved to California to have my daughter, and then I moved eventually to Washington. So I've been in Washington since, and I've had no contact with anybody in Wisconsin since then.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Well, thanks, Ms. Chisler, for meeting with us. You'll hear from us about in a month, but thank you for your time and have a good day.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thanks. All right, I think we now we'll go back to Hope. Hope, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself.
Hello.
Hey, Hope.
Oh, there's an echo because I had you connected on 2 different platforms. And the video.
Looks like now we should be working.
Now I can't hear you. Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. So you've seen how this or heard how this works, so please proceed.
Yeah. I can, but I hear an echo for some reason.
Do you have it up streaming? Or do you just have Zoom? Because I don't hear an echo.
Just turn off my cell phone and
Okay.
I do, yes. Okay. Can you see me?
It doesn't look like your camera, looks like your camera's turned on, but you might have it covered.
Oh.
There we go.
Good.
All right. So I think we should be good, Hope, if you can hear us.
I can. Just trying to close out of stuff. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks
Sorry
for
about that.
bearing with us. It's never an easy process. So you've heard how we've handled this. So now is your opportunity to share your story with us, and then we'll open up to the board for questions. So please proceed.
Okay. My name's Hope. Thank you for your time this afternoon. My felony is for manufacturing and delivering THC. There are actually 2 felonies that were on the table, one of which got dropped, but looking for the pardon on the manufacturing and delivering of marijuana. It's hard, I guess, to tell this story 16 years later because, well, more than that, but looking back at it, like all of at that time, my reasoning, rationale, looking back at it now, it's like, what was I thinking? Like, you wouldn't want a friend like what I thought I was being, so on and so forth. But back in 2003, I had a friend that I went to high school with, graduated in 99. She was a year younger than me. She kind of had a rough childhood upbringing, home life, had a baby when she was still in high school. She was very much involved in selling, transporting illegal activities with her and her boyfriend, the father of the child. So she asked me, hey, Hope, do you know anybody that would want any of this stuff? I don't even know the right word to put on it, but sent out a mass text message to my group of contacts. They in turn sent it out to their group of contacts, and I ended up connecting and dealing with, I guess, in a sense, a third party, some guy I didn't even know. The day of the transaction, this female met me at work and gave me the marijuana, gave me the ecstasy pills. And prior to that, I had just a funny feeling, and I just wish I would have followed my intuition. Obviously, I didn't, but I received the drugs. I gave it to the informant, who in turn handed it over to what was his uncle, who was an undercover cop. The reasoning at the time that I was doing it is I thought I was helping out my friend, got a newborn baby. She can buy the kids some diapers, whatever. And again, I could have asked my mom, I could have asked other friends. And when this happened to me, everyone was like, Hope, you don't do drugs, you're not involved. And I was like, again, looking back, but, and I didn't hear or know anything of this transaction until 2 years later. 2 officers came and knocked at my apartment at the time, and they told me that I was involved in a drug investigation. And I was blown away. I was like, what are you talking about? I live here. I don't even associate with anybody. And then things took its course, had court, and then ultimately was convicted, probation, for 2 years. My license was suspended, fine, restitution, treatment, counseling, all of which, there's really no reason. I was just kind of a part of my whole entire life. I stay or I'm loyal and try to help people out really for all the wrong reasons. And just growing and maturing and, being that it was so long ago, I've already feel like I've lived a million lives since then. But it's the story. But again, replaying it, it's embarrassing. It's a huge weight because I'm going to be 41 and it's like, oh, I'm a felon. And it's not whatever. But.
Thanks, Hope. Questions from the board? Cindy?
Can you tell us what your current use is of drugs and or alcohol?
There is no use of drugs. I do occasionally drink. I like to have a couple glasses of wine, relax, unwind, especially when it's been a long day with my children and they're asleep. But I did have a couple years after the conviction, was still pretty much lost and letting it, me being a felon, kind of dictate my life because I thought I'm a loser. I'm not going to amount to anything. Why even try to redeem or have any sort of self-worth feeling? But yeah, it's decreased immensely since, again, being a mom, and I don't have anybody else but myself that I can fall back on. Growing up and getting into trouble, my mom was, kind of my rock and helping me out and driving me to places when I didn't have my license. And, being a mom of a 10 and 7-year-old, it's, you just gotta, at some point, make the right choices. And that's what I've been trying to do. And I explained to them, you never really know. You can think a scenario out fully and something can still go wrong. But, just try to make the better choice ultimately for yourself and don't do something if it involves someone else and could potentially jeopardize. It's kind of where I was at, but.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? Thanks, Hope, for meeting with us. Sorry, I did go through. I'm glad we were able to get through the IT issues here. As you've heard me say before, you'll hear from us in about a month in terms of the outcome of this process, but hope you enjoy the rest of your day. So
Thank
take
you.
care.
You too. Thank you, everyone.
All right. We'll go to Stephen, then we'll loop back to Carolyn after this. Hopefully we can get through the IT issues, but Stephen, you've been waiting patiently. You've seen how this works a couple of times. So now's your opportunity before the board. So please proceed.
All right. Thanks for having me. Back in high school, I got into drugs and I started using prescription pills. 2010, a friend of mine ended up having he stole the prescription pad from a doctor and wrote it out, and I took it in to a pharmacy. Never got the pills. The cops were waiting for me when I got there, but I left and then ended up turning myself in a few months later. I believe I got 2 years probation, and all the way up from 2010 to 2013, I was just still not on the right path. I was continually using drugs. And then in 2013, I got caught with heroin in Milwaukee, and I got 9 months in the House of Corrections, I believe, and then got out, no probation anymore, nothing. Continued to still not do the right thing. And eventually in 2015, I decided I had enough of living that way. I pretty much was homeless. I was 130 pounds. I was just sick and tired of it. I reached out to a good friend of mine that I went to high school with, and he got me out to Arizona. I went to Prescott, Arizona, into a 6-month treatment program. completed that, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I found actual real friends there, and now guys that I call my brothers. And then right after I completed my 6 months, I ended up working for them as a house manager, and did that for a while until eventually they closed down. I don't know the reason why, and also met my wife out there, and I had jobs here. I worked at Taco Bell and then this place called Precision Marble. And she was my girlfriend at the time. We decided to move down to Chandler, Arizona, where I found a great job down there. Always held a job. And 2020, me and my wife were expecting twins. So leading up to that, we thought the best choice for our family was to move back to Wisconsin. So we came back here. We had our twins on October 22nd of 2020, which they're almost a year old now. We bought a house in Twin Lakes, Wisconsin. And honestly, right now I'm living a life that I never thought I would dream about having. I got a great family. I am 6 years sober. I bought a house. I mean, I never thought that would happen in my life. And I got two little twins that are almost a year old, and that's what I live for now.
Thanks, Stephen. First, have you gotten any sleep in the last year?
Yes, I have. They're actually very good. They slept through the night starting at like 5 months old.
Wow.
So yeah, got lucky.
Questions from the board? Jerry.
Steve, do you still do your 12-step program?
Yes, I do.
And I don't know if you saw this, but you got a great letter from your boss out in Arizona about how well you've done in your treatment and how well you've done subsequently managing the house. So you should be proud of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Oh, congratulations, Steve, on your sobriety and also having kids who can sleep through the night. I'm envious on that last part. But hope you have a good weekend, and you'll hear from us in about a month.
Thank you.
All right. And Carolyn, we're going to try with you again. Hopefully we can get it working. If not, we'll try to do it by phone. So all right, can you hear me? Oh, we can kind of hear you. Or maybe not. So I think what the easiest thing to do, Carolyn, if you log out, answer your phone, Diane Rains with our staff will give you a call. So why don't you log off quickly? Diane will give you a call, answer the phone call, and we'll do it that way, okay?
Ryan, while we're waiting, we never heard from Antonio Robertson. Okay.
Nope. Diane called and no response. So, called and emailed. All right, can you hear us now?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
I do. Thank you.
No, not a problem. We have to, you're not the first person we've had to do this with. So you've heard how we do this. So why don't you please proceed in terms of sharing your story with us, and then we will open it up to the board.
Okay, thank you for your time today and making the extra step of giving me a call here. My offense was back in 1992, I was convicted, so it's been almost 30 years now. I'm 48 years old. It was a forgery, a forgery offense. Basically what happened, long story short, was I was in college in the dorms, and I had a roommate that we had not gotten along all through the course of our freshman year. We were moving out, and I took her credit card and used it without permission or her knowledge. And I got in trouble, obviously, for that. It was probably the biggest mistake I made in my entire life. And I served 5 years probation for that. I completed it successfully. I didn't have any problems during the probationary period at all with anything. I was never into drugs or alcohol or anything like that. So that went fine. And I was released off probation. I have always worked my entire life, ever since I was 12 years old. Always kept a job. In 2006, I started my own business that I still do. I'm in the trucking industry. I do over-the-road freight, cross country, and also into Canada and Mexico. I have several customers that I've retained for several years. So that's what I've been doing since 2006. I've raised 3 children. They're all law-abiding citizens, good people, no criminal issues, no truancy issues, anything like that. I'm very proud of that. I was a single mother for most of the years, and that's what I've pretty much done up until now. And I've volunteered in their schools. I've coached teams. All my children went to parochial schools, so I've done the whole drop-off, pick-up, lunches, like I said, volunteering, coaching, everything that I was able to do that I did. And I really would like to be considered for this pardon and hopefully receive it. There's a lot of things that I want to still do in my life. I was recently diagnosed with an aortic aneurysm, which took my father's life when he was 44. So I had got that diagnosis last year, and life all of a sudden, you see the end. I guess you don't think about it. And I'm thinking about it. There's things my son, he's a big advocate, of hunting and stuff, and he always wants me to go with him. And I can't be around guns, obviously, and I'm getting older. I've lived in the same house since 2003. I've owned my house, and I would like to be able to have a firearm here, because my neighborhood is not getting any better. And also I take care of my disabled brother-in-law, and we had signed up to be his caretaker, but because of my record, they will not allow me to be his helper. So I had to, fortunately, my daughter was caring enough to help us with that, but I don't want to burden her with that. He's in his 50s and he lives with us, and I kind of wanted the pardon for that reason as well, so I could be listed as his caretaker. And then eventually when my mother, gets in that situation too, I don't want it to be a burden on my family that I can't be of assistance in helping them in that way, and more hours than just typical child would probably be able to offer, working as well, 40 hours a week. So basically that's it. I'm I'm not a criminal. I've never done criminal activity besides that. I worked every day of my life, raised the kids. The only vacations I took was when they were sick. And I always try to do my best to be a good person and be helpful and caring. And I'm just hoping that you guys see that I can get another chance.
Thanks, Ms. Williams. Questions from the board? Jerry.
Have you had any contact with Melissa Fink?
No, sir.
Did you talk to her about taking the credit card?
No, sir. No. She did not give me permission, nor did she know that I took it.
Okay.
It was just in the dorm room, and I don't know what I was thinking. I can't even get in my head at that age to even think why I even thought that was a good idea. And that's the biggest decision I made that I regret the most in my life. And I wish I could take it back. But I did tell the detective that was on the case that I think that was her mom's credit card. And I asked him to apologize, on my behalf. But after that incident happened, I never saw her again, never during the court process or thereafter.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, well, thanks, Ms. Williams, for bearing with us as we work through these IT issues, but I'm glad we are finally able to talk with you. And as you've heard me say a couple of times, you'll hear from us in about a month in terms of the outcome of this process, but hope you have a good weekend.
You too. Same to all of you, and much appreciated again. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, and we did not hear, we reached out multiple times to try to get a hold of Antonio Robertson, so we will have to reschedule him for a different date. All right, and with that, we are done and ready to move into closed session. So is anybody willing to make a motion to close into closed session for under WSTAT 1985.85 sub 1 paragraphs A, D, and F for purposes of deliberations concerning a case before the board and considering specific applications and for purposes of considering financial, medical, social, and personal history. So specific persons. So our first, all right, Myrna first. Do I hear a second? Jeff seconds it. Anybody opposed? Hearing none, we are in closed session. So I'm going to move Wisconsin I into the waiting room.